Here's an interesting fact. Running fatigue, so getting tired after running for a long time, is not just about muscles getting tired. There's an organ that we all have, hopefully, that has a ton of safety measures to try and protect us and prevent the body from, let's say, us not being an alive runner. I'm talking about the brain, of course, and it has a lot of feedback mechanisms that it uses from the muscles, from the blood status, from the tendons, just to make sure that we're not overheating, we're not getting dehydrated, or anything catastrophic like that. And what the brain thinks is the best way to protect us is either by limiting our running performance or by changing our mechanics to make us a more, say, economical runner so that we can push through to the finish line injury-free. But here's the catch. While those changes make you less prone to a running injury or a collapse, they will actually cost you more energy. Let me repeat that. When you are getting exhausted from running, your brain is going to make you spend more energy in order to get you to the finish line in one piece. Let's find out why and how you can fix this. Salut, c'est Safe Motions. Running is primarily a lower limbs form of exercise, unlike swimming, for example, where it's mostly the upper body working. There are primarily 3 joints that are giving you the propulsion power: the hip, the knee, and the ankle. In several studies, including this one from May 2023, scientists have confirmed that runners' bodies reorganize themselves in order to meet their goals. Among other things, they found 3 points that I thought were interesting. Number 1, tired runners spend more time in contact with the floor. Number 2, tired runners transitioned progressively towards more of a rear foot running style. And number 3, tired runners tended to use less of the ankle joint to provide their propulsion power. There's a massive problem with that point number 3 though. We've talked in the past about that recoil effect that the Achilles tendon has. The calf muscle, when it contracts, it pulls the Achilles tendon, which in turn pulls the heel up. The Achilles tendon, being the largest tendon in your body, has that capacity, while your foot is on the floor, to store and accumulate energy into the tendon and to then release it to push your body forward. Now, that's a really, really effective way to use the lower part of your lower limb, because this tendon action is almost completely passive, meaning that you don't need to contract much of any muscle to achieve that. It's just the elasticity and stiffness of the tendon that provides the power. It's free energy. So if tired runners start to use less of the ankle power, well, they'll need to compensate with other joints. In this other study from January 2023, scientists have realized that tired runners would use more of the knee to absorb the impact of the floor as runners land, and also to push them forward. So you're having this more smooth kind of running style where your knee is constantly slightly bent. You can see how this requires a lot more energy in terms of muscle contraction. You're constantly bending your knees in order to absorb the shock and to push yourself forward, instead of using the free energy elastic recoil from the calf and the Achilles tendon. One of the reasons for that could be that the calf muscle is kind of a tiny muscle and the ankle joint is also kind of small. Maybe it makes it a bit more delicate and prone to injuries, tears, and wear and tear. So your brain prefers to shut it down just in case. So then what can we do about it? Since that calf to tendon stiffness is what fails us and as a consequence costs us in terms of running economy, that's what we need to train. And that's been studied as well. Best way to prevent shutting down your Achilles tendon? Let's go outside so I can show you. What we want to do here is stiffen that muscle-tendon complex. Lots of studies suggest that high loading isometric exercises can achieve that. Isometric means you contract the muscle, but there's no movement happening. High loading means you need to lift heavy. So this study in particular, just got attacked by a fly. This study in particular suggests to have an angle at 90 degrees at the ankle. Some caveats with that, we'll talk about it in a minute. And then to hold the contraction for 3 seconds and rest 3 seconds, doing 5 sets of those for 12 weeks. How do you get to 90% of your strength? It's very easy. If you don't have any equipment to do that, what I suggest to do is either get a thick buck to put your foot on or get a step and then something to hang on to. I'll show you another method using a table, but right now, since we're here,
we're going to use this pillar over there and a step that's conveniently located right underneath it. So set your foot on the step, the front of the foot, the heel is in the air, 90 degrees is about that angle. You're going to hang onto the pillar and basically on a single foot without shaking. If you're shaking, then it's too heavy. Use the hands and sort of pull the pillar upwards. You're trying to lift the pillar. This is going to provide force that goes downwards onto the heel and the heel just resists it. So you go as strong as possible. 3 seconds, relax 3 seconds, and do it again. There's actually many creative ways you can achieve this. Again, 90% means you're not shaking, but it's hard enough. The caveat that I talked about earlier, 90 degrees, if you look at how we run, is not exactly the angle at which our ankle is most of the time. It's actually a little bit lower, and our knee is not exactly straight, it's actually a little bit bent. So let's correct the angles a little bit to make it more relevant to running. Same thing, I'm going to drop my heel a little lower and bend my knee, and I'm going to push in maximum I can without shaking. 3 seconds and relax 3 seconds. Whoop! Other caveat, 3 seconds, that's a protocol for people who are injured. If you're not injured, you don't have any Achilles tendonitis or anything nasty like that, and feel free to make it last for a little bit longer. Or actually even better, do more sets. They suggest 5 repetitions. I would say let's go for 10 and 3 sets. So overall, 3 seconds on, 3 seconds off, 3 sets of 10 of that. As usual, you can integrate that in your warm-up routine. Feel free to do this outside of your running as well. And I think it'd be really interesting to do it barefoot, so you don't have the support of your shoes. Actually, if you're doing it barefoot, you might feel that your foot also needs some strengthening. It's obvious, we run with our feet. So here are some foot core workouts right there in this video. And I'll see you there. À bientôt.